This month, I want to address another question about punctuation. One listener asked, what are those three little dots I see in books used for? Those three little dots are called an ellipsis. An ellipsis. An ellipsis is not an often used piece of punctuation like the period or comma or question mark, but it's still important and one that can be used to your advantage. Hi, I'm Patricia Charpentier, and welcome to episode 70 of the Life Writers Vlog, where you can find inspiration and useful tips to help you write your life stories. I remember first learning about an ellipsis in grade school. My teacher told us the three dots stood for and so on. One dot for each word, and so on. That was a pretty good definition for elementary school because it stayed with me all of these years, and it is partially correct. Writers use ellipses for several reasons. Most often it's used to show words in a sentence that have been left out. If I quote Cheryl Strayed, author of While, when she says, "My work does not hinge on shock value. I tell only what needs to be told for the work to reach its full potential. I'm not interested in confession. I'm interested in revelation." That's the complete quotation she wrote from the book I mentioned in episode 69, Why We Write About Ourselves. If I wanted to shorten that quote and use only the first and last two sentences, I'd use an ellipsis to show text has been left out. It would look like this. My work does not hinge on shock value. ... An ellipsis. I'm not interested in confession. I'm interested in revelation. That ellipsis, the three dots, represent one sentence I cut out of the quote. Another use for an ellipsis is to show a pause in the text, usually for dramatic effect. Last few months in Life Writers, we've been studying the essays of Rick Bragg. He has one in here entitled Dear Santa, Again, where he uses an ellipsis for dramatic effect. He's writing about his older brother's driving, and on page 153 he says, I once wrote that all he needed to pass for an old woman behind the wheel was a pillbox hat and pearls, but have since decided that is insulting. ... Ellipsis, pause, to old women. I once wrote that all he needed to pass for an old woman behind the wheel was a pillbox hat and pearls, but have since decided that is insulting to old women. He uses that effectively in that sentence. The third use of an ellipsis is what I learned in elementary school, and so on. This is where the speaker just trails off and doesn't finish his or her thought. If I were writing a line of text, I could say, but I thought I'd see him. It just trails off and the sentence isn't finished. It's left for the reader to complete the sentence in his or her mind. Another use for an ellipsis is to indicate more is to come. You see this often in a TV series. It'll come up on the screen, to be continued. And usually behind the to be continued, there's ... an ellipsis. That lets you know more is coming. In my notification emails I send out letting people know that a new vlog is available, I cut off the portion of the text and follow it with ... read more. That ... is an indication more is to come. Those are the ways you use an ellipsis. But let me give you a bit of a warning. Use it sparingly. Any piece of punctuation that you overuse, including an ellipsis, can look gimmicky after a while if it's used too much. Know that an ellipsis exists, know what it's for, and use it at the right time. Tell us about ways you have used an ellipsis in the past. Maybe give us a sentence from something you wrote that has an ellipsis in it, and tell us why you chose to use that ellipsis in that place. If you like what you just watched, sign up to be notified of future vlog posts and upcoming events. Use the buttons down below to share this episode on social media or with a friend who might enjoy it. Until next time, everybody, happy writing.
If you enjoyed this week's episode, you will love our Life Writers membership. Whether you don't know where to start writing your life stories, have started and stopped many times, or have been writing but want to receive feedback to make your stories better, the Life Writers membership is where you need to be. We have a Get Started roadmap, an extensive library of instructional videos, live events via Zoom, and a supportive and active community. If you want to take the stories that live in your heart and mind and put them onto the page, check out Life Writers at lifewriters.us.